Hello everybody. I wanted to share a video with you to do with restless leg syndrome. Now the first thing I'd like to say, I'm not a medical doctor. I have no medical background. You should seek your doctor or medical professional before you do anything. So I get that out of the way. This is just for your informational purposes and my personal experience. So I've restless leg for 20 years. And the last 5 years, it's been pretty severe. I've been on Ropinirole for more than 10 years. And it just had slowly but surely stopped working. I've tried most everything that's come on the market. I've done creams and rubs and magnesium. Um, I've tried a good many things. Every time something would come out, I'd give it a shot, see if it would work. Most of them didn't do anything at all or very little at best. I've also tried iron. I actually had my test run, and my iron levels were way high, over 500. I'll put a picture in there to show you the test. So it didn't look like, in my case, iron was the issue. So I had gotten to 4 milligrams on Ropinirole, and this was last year. And I was really at a spot where I didn't know what else to do. So I contacted my doctor, and he said, well, the best thing we can do is put you on gabapentin along with your Ropinirole. And so he did prescribe it for me, but I decided, I took it for about a week. I didn't really like it a whole lot, but I just decided not to take another prescription drug. For me, it just wasn't. The Ropinirole and gabapentin type drugs, dopamine agonist drugs, in particular Ropinirole, they all hide the symptoms. They don't actually cure anything. And so a couple of years ago, I came across a website with a Dr. Anderson out of Fort Collins, Colorado. And his theory is that restless leg has to do with nerves in your legs. And that by doing nerve decompression, you can improve or eliminate restless legs. Now, I had gotten this book. He had a book out called The Perfect Night's Sleep. I guess about 2, maybe 3 years ago as I was doing my research. But, I found it, but it wasn't on the mainstream. You just didn't see a lot of people doing it. So I said, well, I'll just put that aside, but it'll be something to come back to. Well, last year, my restless leg was out of control. For you those that have severe restless leg, I was at the point, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, early morning, I could have restless leg at just about any time. In fact, I would go to dinner with my wife. I could hardly sit through the dinner, or you try to get home and your legs are hurting so bad that that you can hardly make it. I've had to stop sometimes and try to walk. And what I had found that as I was taking my Ropinirole, and I took 4 milligrams, when I would take a milligram of Ropinirole, my symptoms would get worse for about 45 minutes, and they continued to get worse as I went along. And at this time, I didn't know anything about augmentation or anything. I just knew I was getting in trouble. And it was no longer working. When I first took it, it worked great. I took 1/4 milligram, man, it was great. But after 10 years, it just terrible. It was just miserable life. That's all you can say. And I was getting so little sleep at night because I would take it, but it would wear off. Then I'd have to take it again. And so I was up and down, and I was already maxed out. And so, I was just up. In fact, in the afternoon, on the way to drive, I would be sleepy. In fact, it'd be kind of scary driving. So I knew I had to do something. So last year, I got a hold of Dr. Anderson, and I went out to his place. Well, I had an interview with him first, and we talked about if it was something that I could do. But the thing that kind of really convinced me that there might be some help, he asked me to do a few tests. Could I stand up on my toes, and I could do all that, and pretty good. But he asked me, can I spread my toes? And I literally could not spread my little toe on either side, either foot. And he said, basically the nerves are blocked, and you can't feel your toes to spread them. And it was true, I could not. So I went out there and got the surgery done. I had the first surgery, let's see, I made a note, was done on 3/11. It was my right leg. And the first thing I noticed, now my restless leg did not disappear right away. So I'm just be upfront with you. It took a long time. And this is kind of why I'm wanting to kind of give you this video. I had the right leg done. The few things I did notice right after surgery. Surgery was not painful. They gave me some ibuprofen. They gave me some painkillers. I just used the ibuprofen. I recovered relatively quickly. You go in there. They do the surgery, put a boot on you. After 24 hours, after the numbness wears off, you take the boot off, and you do some limited walking. And then the following week, they do the other leg, and that's what they did. But the first thing I noticed was a relaxation in the back of my calf. It had always been tight, and I'd been having some pain shoot down the back of my calves and stuff. I was really having a lot of trouble with that. That part was immediate. The second part of after the operation, and I'm talking within a day or two, I could move my little toes, which was a phenomenal for me. That doesn't sound like much, but when you realize you can't move your toes, you know, nobody had ever asked me to do that. I thought that was fantastic. So I knew I had gotten some motion. Now I realized that there was a chance, about an 80% chance that this would work for me. And of course, there's a chance it always might not work. But I figured if it was 50%, it was worth the effort. So anyway, I had both legs done. Spent 2 weeks out in out by Denver, out in Colorado. And had both legs done. Surgeries went well. People were super nice, easy to do. Insurance paid for all the operation. I paid my deductible, and they had a stem cell that they wanted to put in each leg for where they did the insertions. I'm not sure exactly how they did it. And that was extra. It was $1,200. I paid for that for both. I figured if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it all the way. Now, you don't have to do that, but I did that. So I got through. They sent me back. And I got the notion that I would start reducing my Ropinirole the first week of my surgery because I figured, well, I was on medication, painkillers, or whatever it was. And that would be a good time to start. So my first reduction was 1 milligram, and that did not work out very well. I'd soon restless leg, even on mainly on the leg they hadn't done first, because that was at the time, it went off the chart. So I went to 0.5 milligram. Now I had 1 milligram tablet, so I cut them in half. They were quick release, so it wasn't a problem doing that. So I cut it in half, did 0.5 milligram, and I did 0.5 milligram for 1 week. So I would start on Sunday, go to the next Sunday, and then make my next reduction. And when I went from 4 to 3, I could do the 0.5 milligrams with not too much discomfort. A little bit of discomfort, but it wasn't horrendous. It's still challenging. I just want you to know it's challenging. And then I spent the next, until I got off of it, I split all my pills into 0.25 milligrams, or as close as I could get it, 0.25 milligram. And for me, I think that was a wise decision. I think it helps when you get down to the lower doses. So I would take, let's say I needed, let's just say 2 milligrams worth of Ropinirole for the day. So that would be 8 tablets. I would break that up and split it 15 minutes between, 20 minutes between dosages. So I'm not taking a real high dosage at one time. Now I did that, that seemed to work. And so I went from 3 to 2.75, 2.5, and it took about 11 weeks for me to go down. Now, 3 times in that 11 weeks. This is a pretty tough 11 weeks. I'll not kid you about it. It's hard. My symptoms, I would like reduce down 0.25 milligram. Let's say from, if I remember, 2.25 down to 2 was a pretty tough one. And the first day was fine, second day was fine. I get to the third or fourth day, my symptoms at night would go off the chart. I mean, I'd be walking, I couldn't get no sleep. The next night, it was still bad, and it seemed like it was getting worse. So what I did, and this, here again, this may work for you, may not, you just have to decide. So if I was taking 2 milligrams on my lower dose from 2.25, and my symptoms run away, and it did this 3 times, I would actually go add an extra quarter to a half milligram. So if I was taking 2, well, I might go in there and make it 2 1/4 to 2 1/2. The next day, I'd go right back to my lower dosage. But funny thing, what I would find when I would add that quarter to a half milligram, my symptoms would go away in 15, 20 minutes. It's just astonishing, just would go away. So I repeated this on down as we went 11 weeks down the road. Now I read a lot, didn't a lot of people tell me about what they went through. But when we got down to the lower dosages, now this is below a milligram, and so you're at, 0.75, 0.50, 0.25. I decided that if it wasn't really clear enough that I would drop another milligram, I would wait another week or an extra couple of days. My symptoms of withdrawal kept repeating over and over, and I was pretty discouraged. I will tell you, time I got to 10 weeks, dropping every week a quarter milligram, there were times I was pretty discouraged because you just get tired of rehashing the withdrawal symptoms from this drug. This drug, was great at first, but it masks the symptoms. It doesn't cure anything. So as I was going through this, I learned that after reading some or watching some doctor podcasts from Mayo, that they had quit recommending any dopamine agonist drugs. Now, Ropinirole happens to be one of them. And Ropinirole, the maximum you should take is 2 milligrams. So, and that most people that take this will get augmentation, or their symptoms will go out of control in just a matter of time. And once you get over 2 milligrams and you take it for a long period of time, they said at least 70%, maybe more, will get augmentation, and you just get worse and worse, and you get worse slowly, so it kind of creeps up on you and you don't hardly realize it. But I had gotten down to 0.50, 0.25, and I was reading where people were really having a hard time getting off. And so, but I kept going, and I got to 0.25, and I was a bit concerned because I knew this was going to be a tough one. So I stayed at 0.25 about 2 weeks. I think I ran into the 12th week on 0.25. And I cut it off. I did my Sunday night. I cut it off. I can tell you the first night was not bad, but the second night, the restless legs, withdrawal symptoms, I would get sweats. I mean, I would just feel bad. And I don't care what you take. It doesn't seem like Advil or ibuprofen or any of the other over-the-counter drugs does anything for this. All I can tell you is a hot shower or hot bath is very, very helpful. So if I'd come in and sometimes I just wouldn't be feeling good. It wouldn't necessarily be restless leg. I just feel bad, or I in general felt bad. And sometimes I would get, instead of restless leg where you're jerking your leg, I would just get like cramps or pain in my muscles as I was doing this. So I got to the second night, and I was really having a bad night, and I really thought about taking another 0.25 and try to ease it off, see if I could do it. But I said, no, I'm going to make the first night. So that second night, I'd made it through. The next day, I got a little improvement, but it wasn't much. I just tell you, it just wasn't much. All I can recommend to you for this is try to make it to the next morning. After I got through about 4 days, I noticed a very slight improvement. I'm still pretty miserable, but there was an improvement, and it got better. So I've been off of the Ropinirole now 14 days is what I can report. And I haven't taken I don't take anything but some ibuprofen if I need it. And the symptoms are getting better. They don't get better every day. They get better more like every week. And I am suspecting that it will take maybe 6 weeks, something like that, to really continue to see improvement. But now I get up several times a night usually, and normally my withdrawal symptoms, whether it's cramping a muscle or feeling like I'm need to move my leg, you can almost tell the time. My last pill I would normally take was like at 10 o'clock. Well, almost like clockwork every night, it would start around 10 o'clock and you start, I could be sitting and it would just start, acting up. But I noticed that it would correct itself after an hour or so. I might be up walking a little bit or stirring around, and then all of a sudden the rest of the night I wouldn't have any symptoms at all. And in fact, a couple of times I overslept a little bit in the morning. I'm an early riser, and I usually get up about 6, but I would sleep 6:30, 6:45, and feel very rested, which was been a long time since I've had that. But the reason I make this video is to let you know that there are other options. And if you're on the Ropinirole and you have severe restless leg and you're at the 4 milligrams, you should seek to your doctor and see if you can find a different option. The only thing I can find they're recommending right now is a gabapentin type drug or opioids. Now, for me personally, it's just something I didn't want to do. I just did not want to be on those drugs. Yeah, I don't know if you've been out like me. You've been out to the restaurant, or you forget to take a pill with you, and your restless legs kick up, and everybody's having a good time. You're miserable. And for me, that just wasn't about it. And the Ropinirole's not curing anything. Here again, it's just hiding the problem. So after I got off of it, I spent the next 2 weeks. I will tell you, the first week was tough. Was no doubt about it. It was a hard week. And after thinking that once I got off of it, I'd be good to go, and then had to go back through it again, after I'd gotten off of it, was a pretty tough cookie, I can tell you. But now that I've reached several weeks, it is improving. It's not perfect yet, but it is improving. I'll do another video after this. But if you have restless leg and you're on one of the dopamine agonist drugs, and they're different amount of milligrams and stuff for the different type drugs. In my case, I only took Ropinirole. If you're over 2 milligrams or you're headed in that direction, really should talk to your doctor and try to get off that stuff. Like I said, they said 70% of the people that are on it, are really not having a great time with it. It's just getting worse and worse. And the doctors now are not recommending that you take this as a first-line defense for restless leg. So if you're out there like I was, researching, trying to find something, I hope you come across this video. It is another alternative. Now, for me, the nerve decompression worked. Is it 100% yes yet as of today? No, it is not. But it's made about a 90% improvement, excuse me, in my restless leg. And I don't think I'd been able to get off. It had been very difficult to get off the Ropinirole without it or some other, drug to take its place. But I was able to do it. I did the surgery. My legs feel much calmer. I don't have that cramp and tight feeling that I had before. And actually, I have a little bit of sciatica on my right side, where it used to run all the way down through my calf. It actually stops about the bottom of my butt. So it doesn't run down my leg anymore. So I really believe those nerves were pinched in that area, and this contributes to the restless leg. And so it's Dr. Anderson. He's got some YouTube videos. I'll put a link to his website. You can check it out. I'm not promoted for this. This is just for somebody who's having a hard time, and you don't know, you're trying to figure out what to do, or you get in a situation like I am. You were just, at the end of your rope. You needed to do something. You just didn't know what to do. And I just was not one to go down the road for, more drugs to mask the problems. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you get something out of it. I'll put the link in the first comment. And good luck. I hope you can get your restless leg under control too. Have a good day.